All right, how y'all doing out there in the world? Okay, this is Dominic, aka D Chorus, with another episode of Through Our Lens. On the right, I got Mr. Gatekeeper. On the left, I got Mr. Guide. So we're gonna have a discussion about certain things, parts of life, just a regular discussion. It's a barbershop talk, right? But I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. Who would like to go first? You know, let's should have.
Are we gonna do age before beauty?
No, we're gonna do elders first.
Okay.
Elders
All
first.
right, so we're gonna go with Mr. Guide first. Okay.
All right. I'm God Jazzy Rainey. I am the host of the Morning Coffee Motivated Jazzy G on Power Me Up Radio Talk 24/7 on iHeartRadio. I'm also a podcaster, and you can find my radio show. I'm on weekly. Every morning on the East Coast. My show comes on at 8 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, 5 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. And I'm an author of 3 books. One book is The Facts of Life, Faith, Action, Change, Truth, and Service. I mentioned that one because it's a bestseller. And I also have 3 other books coming out this year. And my podcast, you can catch it anywhere from Spreaker to Blog Talk Radio to iHeart podcasting to Apple Podcasts, and also I'm a life coach and interventionist life coach, and that means I help you with those uh, blockage in your life. So my message is getting you unstuck. And that's basically what I do. And you can check me out every weekly morning. And,
All right, you see, you should have went first. You know what I'm saying? Elders hitting threes out there.
But I wanted them to go first so I can show you and see. You can see the steps that I'm kind of following and becoming who I am. My name is Tyrone Green. I also go by the name as the Gatekeeper. I also am a podcaster. I have a show called Behind Enemy Lines that is every other first and third Saturday of the month on iAccess Radio. It's an independently owned station, and you can also find us on 365 Live as well. I'm on my way to becoming a motivational speaker as well. I'm partaking Toastmasters right now to learn how to become a better speaker and a better communicator. Um, Also, I'm a life coach, but a different type of life coach. I work with adults with disabilities during the daytime, and I've been doing that over 15 years. I enjoy doing that.
Okay, that's a lot there. It's a lot to unpack.
and he's my nephew.
Oh, and he's an nephew. Okay, all right, that helps.
See,
Let's
it all
see
works
where it go.
together. It
All
all
right.
works together. It all
Alley-oop
works
was
together.
good. We
You know
got
what I'm
it. You know what I'm
saying?
saying? All right, so first question I want to ask is, like, what's the preparation? Is there a course or training or a series of training that got to partake before you become a life coach?
Well, there's a training process. Now to become a life coach, you don't have to be certified. There's certifications. There's all different kinds of certifications for life coaching. I have 9, but that's because what I do is called intervention. I'm an interventionist, and it's what I do is called strategic intervention, and it specializes in psychology, mainly behavior and practical psychology. So I was trained by Tony Robbins and Dr. Claire Madonis. So in that manner of learning intervention. So I have certifications in those different areas. I have training in far as being getting for clarity and transformation and different things like that because I'm a transformational life coach. But you don't have to be certified, but you need to be trained.
Well, for me, I'm not certified technically, but then technically I am because I'm a father of 3 daughters. And once I became a parent, there is no time or a space where I can see myself not giving some type of advice and not being a help to my children. On top of that, I was a football player. And anybody that plays sports, and you get to a certain level, and you play certain positions. I was a quarterback, I was a running back, linebacker, all city, all state, 1998 in the Bronx. When you get to a certain level, it's because you're a leader of people and you can communicate well. And even though I didn't know it, I was already in that life training cycle. I didn't even know it.
Right.
So it wasn't until later on in life that where I'm in now, to be working with adults with disabilities for over 15 years, certain group home services I worked in before that, I was always one of the staff that all of the kids was able to open up to. They always wanted to talk to me. So I led the network meetings, even though I was one of the younger staff. I was always one of the leaders. So life coaching has always kind of been a part of me. Being the oldest of 11, having a lot of siblings to take care of at a young age, it all kind of groomed me from where I'm going now. So I started researching maybe a year or two ago after I got on the podcast, because Behind Enemy Lines, it's a podcast about relationships from the male's point of view. So this year, looking to take it more seriously, I said, okay, what certifies me to be able to talk to these people? You know what I mean? What gives me the right? So as I started putting together more things, I said, you know what? Let me see if there's an educational background that I can add to this. Not that's gonna make me know everything, but I feel it's gonna help me get another foot in the door. So my uncle's gonna be taking me under the wing and also giving me some of his trainings. And like I said, I started looking up, okay, going further into social work and getting some of those other trainings he was talking about. So at first, I didn't know if you needed to or not to be, but I was like, hey, there's a lot of people that have done this that could be certified, so why not go full force with it?
You mentioned Tony Robbins earlier. I know that's one of the
Mm-hmm.
popular, famous life coaches. Um, why isn't there more, or I can't say that. Let me refine the question I want to finish by. We don't look at people of color
Mm-hmm.
as being life coaches.
Right.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do we gravitate towards people outside of our community as life coaches when we have those life coaches
Right.
in our community? Like you're in a community and
Mm-hmm.
people wouldn't even know what you do because
Right.
they probably have assumption of certain.
Well, my first coaches were black,
Mm.
actually. So Les Brown, I know you know Les
That's my
Brown.
guy.
Les
That's my
Brown
guy.
was my first actual coach, Les Brown, and I studied with Les Brown back in 2000. And actually, he had a course in Mega Evans College in Brooklyn. And I took that course, and it was for public speaking and everything like that, and coaching. And I kind of like dropped out of it when it came around the part about monetization. Because even though I was good at speaking and I can do that, and I've come from radio and all those things, I couldn't see myself making the money. And that's where the fear comes in with a lot of
Yeah,
us. We don't
yeah.
see our greatness and we don't see the monetization. I think that's where the gap is, as you're saying, with blacks and others that's coaches and things.
Yes.
We don't see the value in what we do or what we can do. As my nephew was mentioning, there's a lot of gifts and talents and abilities within us that we don't really see it to say, well, I can make money doing this, but we have that stinking thinking,
Yeah.
and we'll say, who's gonna pay for me to tell them such and such? Who's gonna pay for? And that's the first thing we start saying to ourselves, and instead of asking the question, why? And why is a more significant question to ask yourself. Anything that you do and anything that you're getting into, the question is why. Because why is going to always answer anything. Even if you're a praying man or woman and you ask God this, ask God, the question is why. And I'm known as the king of the acronym, so I have an acronym for why. What hurt you, what healed you. And that's what's going to make a difference in your life. Is once you take on what hurt you, what healed you. And fortunate for me, I got back with Les Brown a few years later, and I took a course of his. It was called Live Full and Die Empty. And when
Yeah,
I
yeah,
took
yeah.
that course, what I'm saying, that made a difference in my life. And that actually introduced me to others because when I studied with him, I studied with Tony Robbins, and I studied with Bob Proctor. Then I studied with Craig Valentine. Craig Valentine, this brother is amazing. My nephew just mentioned Toastmasters. He's the 1999 world champion, Toastmasters speaking champion. Craig Valentine is one of the best coaches out there when it comes to speaking, coach, life coach. Craig Valentine, he doesn't. A lot of people don't know of him. You know what I'm saying? But he is phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, so many of us don't have that same recognition. You know what I'm saying? Eric Thomas, we may know of Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas was a client of mine before he even, became big. You know what I'm saying? And there was a lot of people that were like that. They got in touch with me very early in their career. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Ali Griffin, she is another one that she got in touch with me before she even, what I'm saying, because I helped them with their direction. Because what I do is I'm an interventionist. I help you from where you are to where you need to be.
Well, for me, Les Brown was my first person that I started listening to. And my uncle finally he used to tell me all the time, nothing happens by accident. Everything is supposed to happen. So about 5 to 7 years ago, I was on a job heist once again, worrying about money. No, it's serious. You worrying about money. So I got this great idea, listen to everybody else. Hey, you love to drive, get a CDL, go over the road, you make buku some money. So while I was on the road, I got super lonely. And when you having those long overnight drives, you need something to keep you up. So the music did well for a while, but I got into motivational speaking and listening to motivational speakers. One of my co-drivers was like, "Hey man, I was supposed to be sleeping, but you can't sleep when somebody else is driving the truck and your life is on the line." You know what I mean? So that's rule number one. If you want to get into over the road trucking, there's some things you might want to understand. You know what I mean? So I was supposed to be sleeping, but I wasn't. And I heard Les Brown. And the thing for me is, I don't think it's white or black when it comes to listening to who you like. First of all, the person got to grab you. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different type of speakers out there, but the question is, do they grab you? Because you gotta have someone that's gonna catch your ear. When you talk about Martin Luther King and his time is coming up, we're about to celebrate this Monday. When he spoke, he grabbed you. You understand what I'm saying? So whether he was black or white, I believe you would have heard his message because he grabbed you. So Les Brown grabbed me. And what I did like about Les Brown, he told you, go listen to this guy. Go listen to this guy. So I went to Zig Ziglar because that was a guy that he talks about a lot. Now, the way Zig Ziglar talks, you could assume that he was Caucasian, but his message was still something that resonated with me. So then I started looking for more Zig Ziglar. What I do think will be an asset to opening up to changing that feel of, is there more black motivational speakers out there, are there more black people that's doing it, is going back into the schools earlier and subjecting us to it. Because here I am, I was 35, 40 years old, becoming a truck driver, and I never really listened to motivational speaking. Okay. I never had that extra coaching. Like I had it during football because we needed that. And in life, us black and brown people, we need that extra coaching that happened a lot earlier that would subject you to some of the names that my uncle brought up that are actually in the force. So after you get past the Tonys and some of the other ones because they're hot because of the way they speak and the message that they're saying right then and there, it's easy to share. And then you have some black speakers that just, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but you come off too black sometimes, if you can say that. So the message might be too strong, maybe for everybody else, so they're not going to share it. They're not going to pass it on. You know what I mean? But when we get comfortable sharing our word and not being afraid that other people's looking at it, and the knowing that we are there, I think you'll see more black speakers being talked about.
You hit some key points. So what I'm hearing and gathering from a lot of this is, so why isn't their curriculum, right, being introduced to the educational system, right, for motivational interviewing, probably at a middle school or high school level,
Right.
so they have some sense of direction? Because it's like today now the kids seem lost.
Right.
Like I want to be a rapper, I want to be a basketball player, I want to sell merch. It's like they all over the place.
Right.
Why do you think nobody's trying to move to the, not to say they're not, but
Well,
more exposure to the
Right.
youth to get this impactful? Because like 35, at 35, you at a certain, I must took a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
courage to transition.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's hard to change.
Right.
So,
Right. Well, I would say this. Well, actually, speaking of Toastmasters actually have a youth curriculum they put in the school. They available for schools, and any school can actually use their curriculum for free. Actually, Toastmasters.
not to cut you off, can you just explain what Toastmaster is?
Okay, so let me explain. Yeah, my
Shout out to Toast to the Bronx. If y'all in the Bronx,
Toastmaster International is an organization that's been around since I think they started in 1922 or something like that, or something like that. It's 1932 or something like that. It's been around that long. Matter of fact, Martin Luther King was a Toastmaster. So, and Toastmasters, they main features public speaking, leadership, and networking. Toastmasters is one of the best networking organizations, I believe, in the world. And Toastmasters is international. It's Toastmasters International. And when it comes to public speaking, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to network, it is the best. And it's just about everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's
It is everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And like I said, some of the best speakers that you know of were Toastmasters. Matter of fact, best speakers of all time. They have like a list of the best speakers of all time from Toastmasters, and I think number one is Mark Twain or something like that. But Les Brown is number 5 on that list. You know, so it's an organization that it's a nonprofit organization. Like I said, been around a long time, and like I said, they have a youth program that's in the schools. Matter of fact, where I live in Long Island, my club, we actually were in the Freeport school system. Actually, it was an English curriculum. So Toastmasters was actually an English curriculum. So we were actually in the school during the day, actually doing our Toastmaster setup and everything like that. So it was really fascinating, and I have been in the schools in Long Island. So Long Island, they do it a lot. They go into the school system a lot in Toastmasters. I don't know about in the cities too much, but I think it should be more. People should actually look toward doing it, and it's really more up to the school officials to look into Toastmasters.
What?
Yeah,
To be honest, that's the first time I'm even hearing about it.
yeah, so school officials should really look into Toastmasters and say, how can I bring Toastmasters to my school or to my school district? So those superintendents, those principals, those curriculum superintendents and all, they should actually look into Toastmasters, find the Toastmasters in their area, and actually look to see if that club is willing to bring, because Toastmasters do have an international youth program, and it's an excellent program. I mean, when you see these kids when they first start, some of these kids are shy and they don't want to speak. Then when we have like a graduation and they like speaking and networking, and it's a beautiful thing to see, and it helps build self-esteem. You know what I'm saying? And it helps them to go out there, and it's much better for because a child with self-esteem is going to do much better in school.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because school is about socialism anyway. We already know that. It's about socialism. So education is related to indoctrination and socialism. So the way you get ahead, the way you move forward, because they're in categories. You have the jocks over here, you have the nerds over here, you have the arts over here, you know what I'm saying? And it's in categories. So we socialize by our groups, by our tribe. And that's real life. We have tribes in real life. So what happens is if that child has some type of self-esteem in what they do and believe in what they do, they would do much better. You know what I'm saying? They'll do much better far as is their grade, you know, as far as their education is concerned, and that helps you do better in the world out there economically, you know. So, and again, because like I said, when I first was taking Les Brown course, that was at Medgar Evers College. You know what I mean? And here I was like, I didn't even believe in myself that I could make the kind of money speaking. You know what I'm saying? Just speaking as motivation. You know what I'm saying? I knew I can, as a, you know, a radio jock or something like that. I used to produce radio for Chuck Chillout, Molly Marr, for Master Flex at WBLS. So I knew I can do those things. But when it came to motivating people and they say they're going to pay me for that, I didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? Until I joined Toastmasters, and then the reason why I joined Toastmasters because of Les Brown, because he was, you know, he would mention it all the time. You know what I'm saying? And then that led me to people that like Craig Valentine, and then they were like, hey, this is what I did. Craig Valentine joined Toastmasters in 2 years. In 2 years, he became world champion. He joined in 1997. In 1999, he became world champion. So it can happen.
It can. Yeah. And like I said, you know, the big thing is when you talk about the schools, you know, I work 15-hour days. So sometimes when we work so much, we miss the small things that can affect our community because you're never home. You're never involved. So when you say why it's not brought into the schools, you know, I wanted to talk about this later on my show, but we got to start putting the onuses on some of these coaches. that are with these kids for a lot of period of time. I'm talking about the basketball coach, baseball coach, swimming coach, football coach, because a lot of them spend time with your children after. And when you look at the ROTC, when they was bringing in the kids, they was looking at them as, you're here, but we want you to go somewhere else, right? When the football team brought me on, you know what I mean? Like my uncle just said, there was tribes, but you had certain people that was, and this is the message that needs to get out more often. You can be one type of way, but you can still party with all the tribes.
Right, exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? And I think that's another thing that keeps us separated. And when I'm on Toastmasters, we got people that's in different time zones that be getting on at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'm meeting somebody from all the way across the water, but we're starting a dialect. You know what I'm saying? We'll have a conversation. Imagine if you learning that 9 years old, 10 years old, 11-year old, 12-year old, right? So as some of these coaches, you need to bring in someone that has that skill to let these kids know that there's another person out there that can open a door for you that you might want to walk through after your sports career is over. And we have what, over 70% of our kids are enrolled in sports right after. So imagine if that coach, see, I believe it happens in Kentucky University. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It's happening in UNC. You know what I mean? So if these great coaches are bringing in motivational speakers to speak to the James Worthies and the Michael Jordans from back in the days, you know what I mean? Why not start that at a lower level?
Right.
Even with the youth football coaches, because you have some youth. I've been a part of some youth football programs, and once again, everybody's just worried about winning the game. How about we start winning the game of life and giving these kids opportunities? And once again, they're going to see people of their color, of their background, of their upcoming, coming back to them saying, hey, you know what? Oh, well, he didn't make it in the NFL, but he's a motivational speaker. Look what he does.
Right.
It took me many times, many hours, I drove many hours listening to Les Brown. And I'm like, make that type of money? Nah, can't be. Even right now, starting the podcast, it's not free. We pay to be a part of these networks and these shows. So now that's another expense that you bring in. So when you're not making enough money to maintain something, what's the first thing you think of? Do I really need to do this? And when you go through these different programs and listen to these motivational speakers, you notice that it's something that you got to have every day. And this is the real testing period that you're going through in life. So if you thought you've been tested before, wait until you start finding your real purpose. That's what you're really going to get tested on. And this is what the youth needs to know. So that's why I feel like it's not in the school because, okay, fine. They might, this might have to come from someone being on the PTA board and say, hey, why don't we bring this in? Okay, what is it gonna cost? Well, we don't have enough. Right now, my daughter wants to run track at her middle high school. They don't have enough money to have a track coach. So if you bring in, if you talk about bringing, you can't bring in a track coach. How can you talk about bringing in this program? So we need to find about those other programs that's also have people that have free time that's willing to go and donate in these, tougher communities, tougher environments where it's gonna be a little bit harder to get their air. But if you consistently do it, and I do it in my environment, sometimes my wife would be like, why you try to talk to those people every day? Why you complain every day? Because just maybe one day it'll click when I'm saying that you're not just living in this community, you're a part of this community. So even though you're a little bit shy, you might want to go talk to the football player. He might not just be a dumb jock. It's okay to be a nerd.
Yeah.
Because at some point further in your education, you're gonna have to do. They lied to me. I'm telling you right now, they lied to me. They said just get your high school diploma and you ain't had nothing else to worry about. I'm be rich. Well, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm starving. I'm still hungry. I'm still hurting. How my bed said it's lonely at the bottom. So that I think that's the wave that we're gonna have to change, and it's good that we have technology power in this. But now you got to keep driving the message and compete with all the nonsense that's going on the internet as well. So hopefully the people will start to understand that these are needed just as much as band class. And when you're taking music, actually learn music, not just rap, writing sheet music, taking it to there's levels of engineering and producing. So a lot of these young people, because they see it on TV as, oh, the rapper is the most important thing. There's many more levels that are just as important as being that rapper. And I think that's the way we got to start bringing in. Start with the youth coaches. The parents, speak to these coaches. Don't just drop your kids off and be like, okay, you know what, I'll be there back at 8 o'clock and you go to the party. Find out what's really going on in this program and say, okay, well, how can you make it better? Oh, I know this guy that's an emotional motivational speaker. Don't just bring somebody to pray before the game. This could be happening during the week, and hopefully these lessons are then transferred to middle school, to high school, and then success in college. That's what I think.
So more or less, we need more mentoring.
Yes.
So that's where it's at, because when you look at how our communities are today, there's a lot of procrastination going on.
Right.
Right. So at what stages do we restart somebody to be motivated?
Well, like my nephew said, motivation is every day. Motivate. Let me put it like how Zig Ziglar said it. He's because some people would say motivation doesn't work, but what it is that Zig Ziglar said that motivation is like taking a shower every day. Okay, now you may not need to take a shower every day, but by day 3, you're gonna start stinking. So motivation is like that. You know what I'm saying? And what happens to a lot of people, most people, especially in our community, we get out the most of our motivation come from our churches. So when the minister is preaching to us on Sunday, by Wednesday, we stinking.
Yeah.
We need some more motivation. So that's where a lot of the motivation should come from those who like myself and my nephew. But one thing that my nephew said that I have to push back on this.
I like when you put.
I don't believe that there's anything such thing as too black, too strong.
Yeah, maybe I don't either.
So sometimes some people may come across and say, well, that's just too black and too strong when they see a group of black people together. And what it is like right now, you see us 3 men right now. Some people will watch this and see 3 men and see it too crowded.
Yeah.
Because there were actual laws that if 3 black men on a street was actually that's where the loitering law comes from. Loitering comes from 3 black men being on the street at the same time. And that's where loitering comes from. Okay, so what it is that we're so embedded when we see more than 2 black people that it's something wrong going on. And I remember Berry Gordy, you know what I'm saying, the creator of Motown. I remember when he talked about when he was a kid and he used to take these newspapers and in his town they were like free, but he used to go in the white towns and he used to sell them. And when he went and sold them, he would make good money and stuff like that. And he said, well, his friends kind of like got a whiff of it. So he brought his friends with him so they can sell it. Nobody wanted to buy from them. Why? Too many little Negroes. See, 1 Negro was cute. 3 Negroes was a gang. So none of the white folks wanted to buy anything from them. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of time we have to watch a little what we programmed in, and that plays a part too. So sometimes we gotta actually just go into it head first and see what happens. Because again, everything starts with our mind and our mindset and shifting it. And that's where I specialize in far as getting people unstuck. Because again, I specialize in helping black fathers. And the reason why I target black fathers because when I was 35 years old, I was a married father of 4, and I owned my own home, 2 cars. So I had a mortgage and car notes, and even though I had a good job and every good paying job and everything, I was kind of lost. You know what I'm saying? Because it was scary for me. Here I am in the real world doing real things. You know what I'm saying? And I needed, I needed that someone to really help me with, it's going to be all right, brother. This is what you do. It's all right, brother. This is how you're going to do it. And if you're not getting that out of, like, say, maybe your faith base or something like that, if it's not coming from your family or your faith base or your, the education system, if it's just people around you in that culture, in that clan, basically, it's just going to be a bunch of you just, bumping your heads. You're not really, there's no mastermind going on. You get what I'm saying? So it has to be where there's a mastermind going on, where there's someone saying, hey, I've been there, did that. This is how you can do it too. So my whole journey now is to help those, you know what I'm saying? So, hey, my nephew is a father, he's a married father of 3 girls. I'm a married father of 4 girls. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
we
he's
striking
my
out.
mini me for real. You know what I'm saying? And you get what I'm saying? So and when you're a girl dad, you know what I'm saying? When you're a girl dad, it's a lot that goes with it. You know what I'm saying? And it's a challenge that go with it that's very scary. And we as men, oftentimes, we can't tell another man, I'm afraid. Hold me, brother, I'm afraid. You know what I'm saying? And that's so true. And that's men across the board. So imagine black men that has to have this,
Yeah.
rock to us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We gotta have that MC rock to us. And if we don't, you know what I'm saying? So it's times where we may need a hug from a brother. You know what I'm saying? And then they have all these other things that you have to put in front of that hug. You know, you have to pause, no homo, and all those things.
I
It's
hate that.
crazy
I hate that.
because
I hate that.
right, and he's
I
gonna hate it because I'm gonna tell you about our family. The men in our family are very affectionate, and we kiss and hug each other. And that comes from my brothers and my uncles, all of us. That's what we do. When we see each other, we hug, we kiss each other, because that's the affection that we have for one another as the men in the family. So all that other pause and no homo stuff is foreign to me and him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we show the affection in because our family is very passionate people. We curse each other out and cook dinner for each other at the same time.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
That's who we are. We're very passionate, so we don't see it as something that's kind of crazy or like, oh, that's a little gay, that's a little gay, or and like that's not to us. No, we show passion toward each other because we understand we have to lift each other up. That's all we.
It's needed.
We are
It's
big
needed.
family. We are
needed.
big family. When my mother died, his great grandmother died. She had 112 grandchildren, 4 generations.
All right,
And right
you can look that
now,
up.
and right now, she's been going 9 years now. She's been going 9 years now. There is 150 grandchildren right now, and 3 on the way
Yeah.
this year. 154 generations. That's how big our family is.
It's a small little arm.
That's right.
A small little.
That's how big our family is. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying, and sometimes when you see grandparents, and from those grandparents, like you said, the whole army could come from those 2 people that loved each other, and that's what's needed. And if we, you know what I'm saying, even though this sounds cliche, if each one teach one,
Yes.
we can be powerful. You know what I'm saying? And it's an old saying. It said, man, when an open hand can be just an open hand. But when it's clasped together, it becomes a mighty fist and it could strike a blow.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. And that's what family truly is. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna have our differences, we're gonna have our disagreements, we're gonna have those different things. But that's why I said I don't believe in a 2 black, 2 strong thing, because our family was just we were like again, we're like an army, we're like a gang ourselves, you know what I'm saying? So and that's who we are. And I think if you live by those principles, you know what I'm saying? In fact, my mother had a saying, and it was family circle. She believed in the family. Every time we had a family reunion, that was the theme, family circle. We truly believe that. And the theme was always a tree and family circle. And I even had that put on when she passed away. I actually put that, because she was cremated, I actually put it on her urn. You know what I'm saying? Family circle. Because that's what she truly believed in. And if we have that mentality, we can really make things work. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it takes the mind is the first thing that anything is done with. If you want to conquer anything, it's your mind. You have to shift what you do and make things. Like say, for instance, let me give you an example. What happens is they say we're in January now, 2023, and most people have a New Year's resolution, right? Okay. On average, a New Year's resolution lasts about 15 days. That's on average.
I would say 7.
Okay, on average, I'm just talking about around, but on average, it's about 15 days. This is what Princeton Review did a study on. So on average, 15 days. Okay, so now most people when they create their resolution to do things, like say you want to lose weight, okay, what they do is what they come up with is it's the S method that we do everything. So it's strategy, story, and state. That's how we do things. Strategy, story, and state. So now you're saying, okay, my strategy for losing weight is I'm going to join the gym and I'm going to go on a diet. Okay, so now you tell yourself a story that you've been telling. Okay, I'm fat because I'm big boned and I have a slow metabolism. Okay, so hey, now so the state is you have to change your state of mind and your state of heart of how you're going to get this done. So now you just work backwards. Everything that you do must be worked in state, story, strategy. So now if you take your state of mind and you shift it, because again, in order to break a habit, so let me correct that. There's no such thing as breaking habits. You must shift in habit.
Yeah.
Okay. So just like with addiction, just like that's why it's a 12-step program with addiction, any kind of addiction, you cannot addiction cannot be cured. It can only be shifted. So what happens is you have to shift your mind. So it's your state of mind and your state of heart. That's why with Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. Because when you know better by your mind, you do better by your heart. So once you shift your mind and your heart, now you can tell the story. So now you the story that you told yourself that I'm big boned and I have a slow metabolism. Okay, there may be truth that you have a slow metabolism, right? But that's not the reason why you're fat. The reason why you're fat is because you eat all the wrong things and you don't exercise properly. Okay? Because there's a proper way of exercising also that goes along with it. And I never seen a fat skeleton.
That's a
So
fact.
even if you big bone, that has nothing to do with your fat. Right? So now what happens is you now have to change the story. Because there are foods that speed up your metabolism. So now here you go. So you can change that story. All right. And now here's the strategy. I'm going to eat the right foods. I'm going to do the, you know what I'm saying? So now I have an exercise plan. I have a lifestyle plan. I'm going to eat this food because this food changes the lifestyle. This food does the different things. This food here I'm not allergic to. This food, because again, a lot of reasons why we have a lot of problems with our diets is because a lot of foods we eat and we're allergic to. Half of us are eating McDonald's and allergic to McDonald's. We are literally allergic to McDonald's French fries and eat McDonald's French fries.
Say 90.
And wondering why we having a problem in our everyday. Oh, duh, I can't make it because you eating what you're allergic to. You're literally eating what you're allergic to. When they put that in that fryer, that chemicals is in that fryer, you're allergic to it. So your body cannot break down anything. You know what I'm saying? So now once you go from state, story, the strategy, now you have a better plan. Now you can shift everything and go forward with yourself. So again, in my program comes from my book, The Facts of Life, Faith, Action, Change, Truth, and Service. So it starts with faith. And that faith meaning that is a visualization. Okay. And that visualization can be a higher power. It could be, you know what I'm saying, what you look at yourself, and then you take action. You take immediate action. Listen to me. All millionaires take immediate action on everything that they do. All millionaires. Every single last one of them. Then you make a change. Whatever change that is, and I say, I just gave you the formula to shift it, okay? Then you step into your truth. You have to be authentic with who you are, what you are, where you are. It's the who, what, where, when, and why. That's what you have to step into. And then you can be of service. That is the facts. And once you live by those 5 principles of the facts of life, then you can make a shift. And that's something that's a 365.
365.
And if you fall down, you get up. You know what I'm saying? Because we all gonna fall at times. You're gonna trip up at times. Get up. Keep running. You ever seen that video of the young girl where her shoe came off and she ran back at her shoe and run the race? This young girl, yeah, her shoe came off. She didn't just stop and go, oh, my shoe came off. She went and got her shoe and ran that race and outran everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Because whatever that hiccup was, she just knew I gotta run faster now. That's all. Her mind shifted. I have to run faster. That's all. And that's all it is with our mind. You just have to take your mind to the next level. You have to shift and go.
That's a lot of information right there. A lot to unpack. Hit the like and subscribe button. Leave your comment. We'd like to get some feedback. You know what I'm saying? Leave a topic that you might want to hear us discuss. And also more or less support. That's very important. Y'all spoke about big family, the importance of family. You know, the small little mini army I have, 150. You know what I'm saying? That's
Ready for this.
yeah, that's like a small cartel army right there. You know what I'm saying? 150 soldiers. Why do you think the importance of family is being erased as far in our community? Black community. I'm just gonna say the black community. Like the importance of family, right?
I could tell you why. Control.
I was about to say the same thing.
Control. It's the same reason why they're trying to control the population. I've read somewhere where there was you can look this up. I just can't think of the names of those. The professor that actually said this, but he said, 100 years ago, it was easier to control a population than kill a population. He said today now it's easier to kill a population and control the population. You get what I'm saying? So what it was 100 years ago to control the mind, the programming. We talked about our school system. Our school system, especially the public school system, it's an indoctrination. It's not an education system. It's an indoctrination system. So it's you take in and you regurgitate. That's what they. And it's on a grading system. That's why you get A's, B's, C's, and so forth and so on. And that whole theory come from Henry Ford and those other leaders that had the big factories and stuff like that, because you were graded on where you're gonna work in those assembly lines. You know what I'm saying? What you were gonna do. So it's about getting jobs. So when they can control you, you know what I'm saying, and the breaking up the family, because if you look at the family structure in the black community after slavery, so you take from 1865, so by 1868, 90% of black men and women were married. You know what I'm saying? 1968 to 1970.
Flip that to now.
To 1970, we were like in the 98 percentile. Okay, so now, why did it change in 1970? What happened?
Welfare?
Integration.
Martin Luther King was assassinated in 1968. Okay, he is assassinated in 1968. So now, what happens is they open up what they call this war on poverty. It's open up to other communities, because we can talk about the welfare system. When the welfare system was created in 1935, it excluded black people. Black people couldn't get welfare. And at the time, it was called home relief, and it was given to farmers. Their wives was given to the farmers and their wives. Okay, and black people was excluded. When you hear white people talk about, my grandfather, he pulled himself up by his bootstraps. Understand this: that white person grandfather bootstraps was social economic structuring. And it was public social economic structure. What it was that they were given money to lift themselves up, because during the Great Depression, they had to find a way to get America back on its feet. So to get America back on its feet, they created the middle class. So the middle class was born out of the Great Depression. Okay, so now we're gonna lift you up. We're gonna create, and what we're gonna create is what is called the suburbs, and we're gonna separate you from everyone else. Okay, the very first suburbs in America is Long Island. Okay, I live in one of the very first suburbs. So what they were doing was structuring things to happen. So each decade, something new was going on. Okay, so now they started building highways and byways in these black neighborhoods. Okay, right, a couple of blocks away from us is Central Park. Central Park was one of the most elite black neighborhoods okay, in America.
So Enter Garden.
And then they destroyed it and created Central Park.
It was Seneca
Seneca Gardens. Right. You get what I'm saying? And that was going on across America, across the board, not just Tulsa and here and there. I mean, across the board, this was happening. Because after Reconstruction, the one thing that black people understood, that if you let us do it, we will do it. Okay? And there was nothing put in place to help us with our psychology. You know what I'm saying? We were people that were no matter what we, you know what I'm saying, we were enslaved, we were beaten, we were tortured, we were raped, all those things. There was nothing put in place when freedom came to help our psychology. Nothing. Nothing. So right there, we're hurt people. But there were people that said, in spite of, we're gonna make this happen. The one thing that black people had back then that other groups followed, that we lost, is that we did everything monolithic. Today you hear black people, we're not a monolithic people, we're not a monolithic people. That's the dumbest thing in the world, because economically we should be.
But some people might not
So
even know what that is.
we put our money together. So thinking alike economically works. Look at the Koreans, look at the Chinese, look at the Jews. They all work. You say they all work together, thinking alike economically. Get what I'm saying? We're the only ones that look at it as an individual thing. I'm gonna make it, get mine. I'm gonna get mine. You gotta get yours. That became a record and everything like that.
Yeah.
That's a ridiculous way of thinking in the world, because you cannot move ahead that way. Okay, so why do they have this gentrification and all these things? They can do it easily. Why? Because we don't have ownership. Ownership. I heard what's comedian Mike Epps. He was talking about being rich and just not being rich and still having nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, I'm rich and I'm bored because there's nothing that I run, nothing that I own, nothing that you understand what I'm saying? He may have cars, he may have a house, but there's no infrastructure that is owned by us. There's there's nothing that we built. We own no byways, highways, or any of those things. Railroads, none of those things. When it was the bus boycott, we boycott the bus boycott so we wouldn't be treated bad on the white man's bus. Why didn't we just create our own bus line and say, we ain't got to boycott your bus line, we just gonna ride our own bus line? Same thing as when it came to the Woolworths, and when you saw those protests when they were sitting in the sit-ins and they was getting beat up and everything like that. That was Woolworths. So even though the Woolworths not around today, you know what I'm saying, but still, you know what I'm saying, we literally was sitting in someone else's establishment saying, you know, saying, I don't care how bad you beat me, how bad you torture me, I'm still gonna give you my money. That's the worst way of thinking.
But that's fair. That's
the
fear was
worst way of
prepared to
thinking.
think like that.
You know what I'm saying?
That fear. The fear was
but
prepared.
again, it wasn't everybody thinking like that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we had some of the most and I gotta say this. Some of the what we consider our black heroes, they wasn't really our black heroes, man.
Some of them are agents.
A lot of them were. A lot of them were. Booker T. Washington, he's considered our hero. Booker T. Washington was destroying the black community. He was destroying the black community. W.E.B. Du Bois, we look at him as a hero. He was destroying our black community. A. Philip Randolph, do you know they all got schools named after them?
In Harlem.
They all got schools named after them. Those three men used to have anti-Marcus Garvey rallies. Anti-Marcus Garvey rallies. Because they were agents. They were giving money to go against a man that said, we're going to create a great black America that nobody can destroy. We're going to build it economically. We're going to build it, you know what I'm saying? And Marcus Garvey was a Christian man. You didn't know he was a Christian man because that wasn't his forefront. His forefront was the nationalism. And he said, we're going to build a structure and an infrastructure on black wealth. And the difference is when they destroyed those different communities, they did it because we didn't have protection. He said, I'm going to build an army. So now we're going to have an army. And if they strike us, we're going to strike them back. Eye for eye. It's in the Bible, eye for eye. You know what I'm saying? Why do they tell us when we get smacked to turn our cheek, but they never turn their cheek? You would hear about a
Well,
black man that did something to a white person and they burned down the whole town. What happened to their Christianity of being Christians to turn the other cheek?
ain't gonna
See,
happen.
they don't turn the other cheek, but want us to turn the other cheek. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not just I'm advocating for violence, but I'm saying is if George Washington won his revolution through violence, and you're gonna turn around when we want our revolution, you're gonna tell us to march and sing.
Peace. Yeah, only
Something
peace.
is wrong with that. Something
Only
is
peace.
wrong with that. So those people that was teaching that were agents. They put them in place to teach us those things. You know what I'm saying? And another thing, why isn't black churches teach leadership? Black churches do not teach leadership. They do not. Okay? They do not teach leadership. And that's a big, big problem in our community. It's the leadership.
Well, it's definitely leadership. And I think that a lot, just going back to the agent, it's designed that way. However, economically, we are not in a position, right, to even make a footstool because everybody's individuals, right? Collectively, we got a bunch of millionaires, billionaires, and nothing economically empowering black people in our communities are still in shambles, right? That's just the reality to what it is. And I spoke about family, but economically, if we don't start to move forward economically collectively, then we're gonna be running the hamster on the wheel. It seems like it's progress, is not no progress. When you speak about all those people that did the disservice, it's the same way we have councilmen and politicians still doing the same game. It seems like it's the same game still being played because our
is.
community is not changing. Well, let me not say that. It is changing and we're moving out, right? Right? They're building up things and rent is going high. It's people think they can live by themselves. You need somebody because you can't do it by yourself. There's no such thing as a middle class. Like to live in New York now, you need at least singly, you need at least they say a $500,000 a year. That's the
Probably
goal
more
rate.
than that. Probably more than that.
That's
Probably more
that's that's the going rate. So I want to come full circle and say, what are you doing right now with Better Green Entertainment? Like how some
Oh,
things you got coming up in
Better Green Entertainment is such a small part now that
Okay.
when you start to grow. Because
Gotcha.
Better Green Entertainment started out as hip hop. Was once again when I was first coming up, and it was crazy because we have so much in common, but it wasn't forced on me. It happened. My uncle never cornered me in the corner and be like, nephew, you need to do this, you need to go. Yeah. No, I'm serious. A lot of
Lead by
people would think
example.
that because we have so much in common that this is how it happens. But not to go too far off topic, but what Uncle was saying, and I said that word with the M, you need to explain that because a lot of people might not even know what that word is. But the blueprint is what's being lost. You know what I mean? So when you don't see people together, you're not gonna want to be together. And I think that's how we falling into all this individualism. We're like, well, I don't care if the rest of the third floor is starving, as long as I'm eating well. And my development right now, my one lone building, you know what I'm saying? We got 12 apartments. And I talk about it all the time. Out of 12 apartments, there's only one family. And I'm the one family.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not to knock on anybody, but when you go from door to door, house to house, there's steps. There's a lot of situations where there's single parents. There's a lot of weight that they put on their back. So when I started Better Green Entertainment, I only started as a rap at first. You know what I mean? Like I came up with a group and we kind of separated, and I still wanted to do it, but they didn't. You know what I mean? So I had that instilled to my uncle. Like, well, since they're not doing it, once again with the race, put on your shoe and get back to running. You know what I mean? So I started to figure out different ways on how to do it. But the one thing I was nervous about was, that late 80s, early 90s, all these rappers were famous, but they were broke.
still is.
You know what I'm saying?
Ain't nothing
So
changed.
I was trying to figure out, once again, how not to just be the outside of the vehicle, but to be the engine. How to keep the business going. The things that the guys should have been teaching us when they wasn't them agents. What was the next? So Better Green Entertainment is a independent black owned music label that I started with, two of my actual brothers. My actual uncle, that's a brother. So you see, we keeping the family in the business. You know what I'm saying? And one of my friends from upstate. It stands for a better way to create music without compromising yourself. That's what Better Green stands for, and Green is my last name. We have a lot of things that's taken off. We have 2 podcasts behind enemy lines, which you talk about relationships from the male's point of view. We also have what is called Tug of War. It's a debate show that I created with, once again, inside my own community. I found 2 young gentlemen that was involved, and I felt like they could be the future voice. So Tug of War, they debate about topics, and you as the watcher get to choose whose side you win on. You know what I mean? Because that's another thing that I took up in high school by accident. 'Cause I was always fighting, so they kept sending me to mediation, and I wound up becoming a mediator. And then, like I said, the great debate and movies like that. I like debate, so I like to see people talk and have different views because, yeah, I might think I know something until I hear somebody else speak. Then I got to go back and research it and decide if I want to take that into my library. You know what I mean? And with that being said, now it's the next part that we're growing, which is a male mentoring program that I'm working on with 5 of my brothers right now. And it's not out yet, so I don't want to bring up the name. But we already have our first mentor, and it's the brother that we working on to help start teaching some male qualities that might have been missed, that might turn into fatherhood later on in life. And this is our opportunity to give back. So we started through music, but we want to go through the whole spectrum of life. And that's what we're doing at Better Green Entertainment. We're giving young men opportunities, young women opportunities. Like I said, I'm a father of 4 daughters. Soon to be another one. Nah, I'm just playing.
Oh, snap.
I just play. Hey, look, only three. But giving those opportunities back, and one thing I do want to do later on with Better Green Entertainment is to get back and talk to some of these coaches and actually go back into coaching, because I feel that is a major part where you could bring in another side of mentoring that we could find out, or these young children could find out when they a lot younger, to take advantage of.
You said you had 3 books, 3 on the way.
Right.
You working, bro? You know what I'm saying?
See?
You Jamaican? Because you remember Caribbeans used to have eight jobs, man. But can you just elaborate on the first 3 books you have?
Right. My first book written was Facts of Life: Faith, Action, Change, Truth, and Service. That's the book that actually my curriculum, my podcast, and everything was based on. And the other book is called Hip Hop Proverbs, and that was written by me and my best friend, my childhood best friend, Tony Banks. And then the other book is Motivation for the Soul. And those books were actually written in, like say, the Facts of Life. Actually, FACTS is the acronym for Faith, Action, Change, Truth, and Service. And in that protocol and that curriculum, that's to actually help you get unstuck. And that's what the book is based on. The book is based on me as an interventionist and where I came from, how I grew up, saying tough for Harlem and stuff like that, and using those principles on how to help people get unstuck by using those 5 principles. And Hip Hop Proverbs is taking my coaching curriculum, and what it is actually, we took rappers' lyrics and we related them to my coaching curriculum. So what you're getting is you get the rappers' lyrics, like you'll get, like say, French Pitts, a Will Smith, a Summertime, and then a line from Summertime, and then I just can't think of anything off the top of my dome. But you take a line from Summertime, and then what we did was we put the curriculum that I do to help you get unstuck and related to those words that he said. So that right there, it blends it. So you'll say, okay, Will Smith said this in Summertime, but the meaning to it, behind it, like there's a behind the scenes of why he wrote it and what comes out of it and what you can get out of it as a positive note and a positive reinforcement. So that's why we wrote it as Hip Hop Proverbs. And there's a Proverbs there's a Chinese proverb, African proverb, even Bible proverbs, and those proverbs were written to give you some direction, and that's why we wrote that. My book, the Motivation for the Soul, is a daily motivational. It's just motivation to get you up and going each day. Like I say to my soul motivators, which is my tribe that listen to my show, you know what I'm saying? I say get up, get out, and do what you gotta do to make it happen for yourself. And that book was written in that notion of getting up, getting out, and make it happen for yourself. In the sense of it's broken down in 12 chapters of 12 months. So from January to December, here's some motivation to get you going, something to get you thinking, something to get like, here, this is my day, this is my week. Because we go through, our day to day, especially when you working for someone else and you're punching in and punching out. Sometimes you feel like you're on a hamster wheel. So you need something to really get you saying, hey man, things are gonna be all right. If I look at it a different way, it'll be better. I mean, because more people die between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. on a Monday morning. That's when death occur more times. And that comes from people getting up in the morning going, I'm tired of this. Take this job and shove it. I'd rather die. And they die because they lost their spirit a long time ago because they haven't worked in their gifts, talents, and ability. And all of us are giving gifts, talents, and abilities. It's just we have to tap into it, manifest it, and then now share it with the world. Okay? So what happens is so many people they work backwards again. So instead of working from faith, action, change, truth, and service, they work from service. And they run themselves ragged because they have nothing to go on. And they have no, what I'm saying, it's just like the theory of, saying, if I have a full cup and I pour into your cup, now okay, and then now my cup is being poured in, and your cup is being poured in, and you pour into his cup. See, now we all have full cups, and it just keep being poured into. But say now I have a full cup and I pour my cup into you, there's nothing being poured into me. Or I started out with a half a cup. You know what I'm saying? So now you're full, and I have nothing left. So I've started out with an empty tank now. So now I want to get up and go with an empty tank. Okay, we know our cars are not going to run with an empty tank. It's just going to be fumes. And a car can't run with just fumes alone. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happens to us, and it happens to our spirit. And once our spirit is broken, it's hard to mend it back.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? And Beyonce has a song like that. It says, you can't break my soul. Because when a soul is broken, man, oh my God, it's a whirlwind, and we can't find our way back. You know what I'm saying? So we have to, you know what I'm saying? So it has to start with our faith. Take that action. Make those necessary changes. You know what I'm saying? And then be authentic. Stand in your truth. And then you can be of service. You know what I'm saying? Because if you work and if you skip it around,
It ain't gonna work.
it's not going to work at all. So it has to have those principles and they're not the only principles. They're not the only principles. You have Jack Canfield has a book. I think his book has like 101 principles. Are we reading the book now in the book club? You know what I'm saying? Is the success principles. I mean, there's a whole lot of principles.
Yeah.
So there's no one like this. My five and not the only five. There's a lot of principles that help us and guide us. But mine is structured in a way to get you unstuck. Because people, when you're stuck, you become depressed, and when you become depressed, and depression is just anger being turned within. Okay, so now you have anger turned within, so now you're depressed and not doing anything. You can also be triggered, and now you can do something to harm someone else.
Yeah.
That's where the whole terminology of hurt people hurt people. You know what I'm saying? So that happens because now our mind has now lashed out because we live by our needs. There's only 6 reasons why we do what we do, all right? And those 6 reasons because we have 6 basic human needs. And with those 6 basic human needs is what drives us, okay? And those 6 basic human needs, we must meet them. It doesn't matter how we meet them. We can meet them positive, we can meet them negative, or we can meet them neutral. It doesn't matter. We must meet them. And that's what happens to us. And if we have the perception of something that, say, a belief, doing belief and like the structure of things, you can get addicted to anything. That's why you can get addicted to water. Because it's a perception of feeling, doing, and believing. And that's why you actually get addicted to to what the drug is. So the drugs is an addiction because it's accessible. You know what I'm saying? Like say crack addiction became a crack addiction because it was an accessible drug. You know what I'm saying? Or cocaine or heroin. They were just accessible drugs. They wasn't like you know how they say the gateway drug, like marijuana was the gateway. No such thing as a gateway drug. We know in practical psychology and behavioral psychology, there's no such thing as a gateway drug. It doesn't happen. It's accessible drug because the addiction happens before whatever it takes. So whatever triggered you, whatever traumatized you, you go to that. That's why alcohol and tobacco is like number one because it's accessible.
Now we
Okay,
is.
right.
Yeah.
And my job as an interventionist is to break all those that way of thinking, that way of what I'm saying, that the paradigm. It's actually to break that paradigm, and because again, a lot of it comes from culture too, and culture is the most powerful entity known to man because culture controls your five senses. Nothing else controls your five senses. Not even religion controls your five senses like culture. That's why culture, like if we have a cultural war and a religious war, culture always won over religion. If you ever look at wars, culture will always run over religion. That's why you have religious wars that go on for centuries. If you know right now out there in the Middle East and all that, they're still warring. They warring over religion because they can't stop. You know what I'm saying? But cultural wars are done. The Korean War is over. The Vietnam War is over. World War II is over. World War One is over. Those are all cultural wars. They were cultural. What was best for the land? If you notice, every war that goes on right now that's still going on for centuries are religious wars. Yeah, it's the religious wars. But because culture is the most powerful entity known to man. It controls us. It controls our smell, our thinking. Food does it for us. I told you about McDonald's. We literally grew up on the culture of McDonald's, and McDonald's is feeding you food that's not even food. That most people that eat McDonald's
Still gotta
and
have
it was a study. Most people that eat McDonald's is allergic to McDonald's. You ask people today who have the best French fries, they will tell you McDonald's have the best French fries, and 90% of the people that eat the McDonald's French fries are allergic to the French fries. 90%,
That's
and they eat it.
that's a mentality that they have. Last question. Which might be a little to the left. What do you feel about the state of black men?
Well, me personally, I feel great about it because I feel that we can be changed if you want to be changed. So I'm more worried about the mindset than the actual state, if that makes sense to y'all. So if it doesn't, I'm gonna say it like this. I came from the bottom of the bottom. But that doesn't mean I have to act like an animal. Doesn't mean I have to go to prison to prove something. Doesn't mean I have to be standing on the corner doing things that cultural. If you feel that this is the only part of the culture you want to represent, then that's the only thing you're gonna want to do. So you have to believe it in your mind that there's more inside of you, number one. Then you gotta believe it in your heart that there's more in you, number two. And then, like my uncle said, put it into action. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't think we're having any less kids. I mean, we could tell you we're not having less kids. You know what I mean? I don't think we still have that as a problem as of yet. So I believe that the mindset, if you catch it earlier enough and you give them more opportunities to be successful, let them know that culture is not just something that happens in high school or junior high school. Like I just found out at 35, 40 years old that coaching happens all through your life.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if every black child knew that it's okay to ask for help. Not because I'm 21 now or 18 now, I'm supposed to have the world figured out. Imagine that for a second. Then where would the state of the black man be? I'm a young black man. I'm just touching 40s, mid 40s. But I didn't find that out until 35, 37. And then how many years does it usually take for your mind to take that in if you're not hearing it every day? Because you're going to go back to rejecting, going back to what the culture is telling you. You know what I'm saying? I got to be on the corner. I got to be on the ad. I got to flip these nicks and dimes. I got to do 25 to prove something to my man. You know what I'm saying? I watch certain guys on and I said this in one of my last raps. Same niggas on the corners and their stories ain't changed. You're 50 now. You're 50 now. But at one point, you wore that as a badge of honor to be 50, sitting on the corner, on the crate. Luckily that, we got global warming right now, there'll still be snow out there. But they would be out there with the snow, with the crate still sitting there. Now, that weed is legal. You're not making no money. You know what I'm saying? The RICO law is in effect, so a lot of guys ain't getting a lot of drug money. So now, like my uncle said, you're just stuck. And you don't even know how to get unstuck. We need to give our kids, now that we know, the ones that do know, you know better, you do better. You got to start going back and saying, okay, even if it looks bad, I got to try. I got to put my stamp on it. You understand what I'm saying? That's what Better Green did for me. It put my stamp on it. My first thing I did was become a business owner. Everybody look at me, oh, you ain't make no millions of dollars, you ain't nobody. But I'm always on the move. I'm trying to connect with the right people. Sometimes I'll be the youngest guy in the group because I'm willing to accept what's going on, because now I don't look at age as a problem. This is where I belong. This is part of my tribe. This is part of the conversation. Some guys in my neighborhood, when they hear this type of conversation, what they do, they run off. So affect the ones that you can affect. Take that as part of the success as well. You understand what I'm saying? So my wife might get mad that I keep talking to the same kid, but 10 years from now, hopefully enough stuck so he won't be that guy on the corner. You understand what I'm saying? Accepting that this is what the culture says I have to be. You can be whatever you want to be if you really want to be more than what you are.
That's a good point.
Well, I would say your question was the state of the black men. Truly, part of me is afraid of our state of existence right now. The reason why I'm afraid of what's going on is because millennials are very eye open young people, and I give them that, and I love that about them. But they get so much resistance from the generations before them,
The X.
and and I'm not even a Gen X. I'm a baby boy. You know what I'm saying? I'm turning 60 this year,
God bless
and
you.
I'm a boomer. And all those things that I talked about, like A. Philip Randolph and W.E.B. Du Bois, and all the things that the truth about those things that went on, and how to destroy the family structure, the black family structure. My generation don't want to own up to we made mistakes. My generation don't want to own up to those sit-ins was a mistake. Those bus boycotts were all mistakes. Integration was a mistake. Integration destroyed black people. We celebrate Jackie Robinson every year. Jackie Robinson destroyed the black family. And I know right now people are gonna hate me for saying this. Jackie Robinson breaking the color line destroyed us. It did not help us. If you know this true story behind that it was created to destroy the Negro League.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Negro League
Yeah.
was about to blow up. The Negro League, all the owners of the Negro League was about to build stadiums across black America. The Negro League was trying to stop all those highways and byways that was put in our neighborhoods. Those black leaders were trying to stop it. You understand? They were trying to stop it because they knew what was going on. And they knew if we kept the money within us, it'd just keep growing and growing and growing. And the black baseball players, and this is another thing, they destroyed a lot of film. The Negro League baseball players used to whip the behinds of the major leagues. Used to eat them alive.
I heard that though.
Games used to be like 44-9. 44-9 was the score.
And that's baseball.
That was the score. We used to eat them. The black Yankees used to eat the Yankees. Eat them for breakfast. They destroyed the films. Okay? So what happens is, who was elected to do the dirty deed was Branch Rickey, because he saw it happening. And Branch Rickey, what he did was they brought in Jackie Robinson, and that judge, they tell you it wasn't Josh Gibson because Josh Gibson had mental illness, and it wasn't Satchel Paige because Satchel Paige was too old, and this and that. That wasn't it. Satchel Paige was preaching black unity. That's why he wasn't picked. He was preaching black unity going around. That's why. Jackie Robinson was quiet. Jackie Robinson wasn't even the best black player in the Negro League. He was average.
I heard that. I didn't know if that
Jackie
was
Robinson was average black baseball player in the Negro League. Average. Average. And when he played Major League Baseball, he was the best. So that tell you how bad they were. Get what I'm saying to y'all? And that's what was going on in our community. They first was out to destroy. We have to first see what's going on.
Yeah.
And as my nephew was talking about that street corner, that corner dude, you know what I'm saying? The truth of the matter is, man, if we can create warriors and soldiers so they understand who their true enemy is,
Yeah.
because we don't understand that. We think we our own enemy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We want to put on blue and red and say we hate each other.
Yeah.
That was constructed.
And
If you look at the story of the Crips and look at the old pictures of the Crips with Tukey Williams in them, they never wore blue. Where did you see the blue? Look at the old pictures of Tukey and the other brother, and they didn't have blue on. They had these black leather jackets on. The blue came after the prison system.
Yeah.
When they in prison, where did the Bloods come from? You don't even know the history of the Bloods. The CIA created the Bloods in the prison system. In Sing Sing is where the Bloods came from. And they made them wear red and blue. Who else wear red and blue? Y'all see it every election year.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah. That's where it come from.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where it come from. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of people are not gonna agree with a lot of things I say, and I may look like an enemy. I look like a militant. I'm too black. I'm too strong. Hey, I'm used to it. You know, Russell Simmons used to call me when I was in the music business, when I was in A&R. He used to call me Michael Farrakhan. And that was my nickname in the music business. 'Cause I used to be in the music business. That was my nickname. Russell Simmons named me that. And everybody would call me, Michael Farrakhan, Michael Farrakhan. That was my nickname. You know what I'm saying? And Russell had said to me, I remember we was in his limousine, and he said, yo, Jazzy, he said, you too black, you too strong, you scaring the white people in the industry. You scan them. I'm like, yo, I'm scanning them. Like, what? I'm just, I'm not even a big deal, really. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel out, you know what I'm saying? Man, no, and everything. He said, nah, I'm going to introduce you to two white people. I want you to put them in your clique. Okay? I'm going to introduce you to them, and they everything will go for you. And you'll get the deals you'll get, such and such, because you like a Malcolm Farrakhan type nigga. And I fell out in limo, you know what I'm saying? It was Russell, it was Andre Harrell, and Gary, what's Gary's last name? But they gone now. Russell and Gary and Andre, but we were all in Russell's limo and everything like that. We was heading to the EPMD platinum party. You know what I'm saying? And so he introduced me to the people, and I started getting better deals. I started making things happen. Things started happening for me. You know what I'm saying? And I was part of the in. I was part of what people consider the in society, or the or what they call it now, Illuminati. And all that. I was part of it. Get what I'm saying? I know the ins and outs of it. Get what I'm saying? I could write a book about when I was writing my book, The Facts of Life. You know how many calls I got from people in the music industry that was calling me, hey, Jazz, what's going on with you? What happened with you? Hey, I was out from da 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 da. Because they all thought I was writing a tell-all book.
Yeah.
And when they found I was writing a coaching book, I ain't hear from nobody.
Let me interject for a second and see if y'all miss anything, don't miss this. I started my own label. There was a mentor right there in my backyard that I didn't even know, because how the structure of the household had been broken. You didn't have certain conversations. By the time I started my label, I didn't know who he was. That was his uncle. But all that knowledge, all that wisdom, Now I call him every day.
Yeah.
Now you can't get rid of it. You understand what I'm saying? So just that concept alone of knowing that it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
Don't be more of a man
Got
to
it.
reach out to another man that has the answer.
Exactly.
And to be there. Like to have someone pick up the phone anytime. It's not about money. Yes, if you don't know the answer, nephew, if you're gonna listen or not, you're not gonna say you don't know. That's how we get back to being strong men again.
Yeah,
You understand what I'm saying? So I just want to put that out there.
And that's how it is. I want to pass it on. I want to, you know what I'm saying? I want to create the family structure where we can build on something, where we can build a foundation. And the knowledge that I'm getting, I wanted to change the family dynamics. Our family dynamics are very broken. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of us, but very broken. So in order to heal it, and there was a lot of teenage pregnancy, a lot of, out of wedlock babies and stuff like that. But one of the things about our family too, we're a very marrying family at the same time. It's very strange about us. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We love to, we like being married because, my grandparents being together and everything like that such a long time, it kind of built that foundation for us. You know what I mean? So even though a lot of us run around, there's a lot of teenage pregnancy and things like that, but we kind of like knew that there's a structure that needs to be met, and we try to figure that out. So once I started building that blueprint of faith, action, change, truth, and service, that was the blueprint for my family, and I actually wrote the book for my family. You get what I'm saying? In the beginning. But I knew I needed to change the dynamics and have something to change so we can be better. So each generation get better. And not be stalemate where we just looking at things and we looking at things that we have to be given something. We have to be given something, or we're going to take from it. Because I'll be honest about our family. We bullies. We bullies. And there's another book that I'm writing now. And it's called From the Mind of a Bully, and it's actually I'm writing it, and it probably won't come out until next year sometime, probably because I got to finish these other 3 books. But I'm writing it because I want to help the school system and with the bullying situation, because they don't know what they're doing, because they're trying to heal the bullying situation from the victim's point of view and not understand the bully. And if they understand where the bully comes from and why there is a bully, because I said before, everything has a why. What hurt you, what healed you.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. And we're going to touch about just small rundown of the 6 pillars that you spoke about.
Okay. Oh, well, the 6 basic human needs. Again, there's 6 reasons why we do what we do in life, because we have 6 basic human needs, and our basic human needs come from our emotions. So the first one is certainty, right? And certainty, anything can really be certainty for you. It can be your religion, the God that you believe in, your marriage, your lifestyle, anything you can use as certainty in your life, that where you feel that this is my rock and I stand on it, and this where I'm more brave or anything like that. Is that certainty? The second one is variety. Now variety is uncertainty. So variety is what you just, you're spontaneous, you do everything. And again, we call variety the spice of life. So,
Spice of life.
right, so it's the uncertainty. So then the third one is significance. And significance is want to be seen, want to be heard. When you're saying, that's why we get tattoos, that's why we dress a certain way, that's why we have a certain kind of car, certain kind of house. We always be fly guy, fly girls, and something like that. It's certainty. We want to be seen, want to be heard, want to be noticed, want to be recognized. And the third one is connection, love. So connection is connected with love. But the thing to that is that we fear love.
So the fourth one is connection.
Four. Yeah.
Fourth is connection.
No. Well, this is it. Fourth is connection. Is connected to love. So it's called connection and love. That's number 4, because connection is connected to love. Okay? So it's connection. So it's that loving connection. that you have for one another. That's the fourth need, that we need love and connection. Okay, that's number 4. Now, number 5 and number 6 is our deepest spiritual needs. Okay, so that's growth and contribution. So now, whatever does not grow, it dies. If a plant doesn't grow, it dies. If your mind doesn't grow, it dies. If your spirit doesn't grow, it dies. If you don't grow physically, you will die. Okay, so that's growth. Then contribution is sharing. We have a need to share. That's why on social media people will take pictures of their food, and it'd be the number one likes will be because we have a need to share, and it's spiritual. That's why even when you, whatever your religious background or beliefs are, that church, that synagogue, that temple, they feed on growth and contribution. What do they ask for in the church? Growth and contribution. Because that is our deepest need, is our spiritual need. The other 4 is more surface. Now, we are driven by 2. Every person is driven by 2. And it's the first 4 that I mentioned you're driven by. So you can be driven by certainty and significance. You can be driven by variety and connection. Whatever it is, it's 2 that's going to drive you. Okay? Reason why when you meet someone and you say we got something in common, the something in common is your needs. Okay, it's not just what you know what I'm saying, because you're attracted physically. It's the needs that really attract you to one another. The problem in most relationships is because you don't meet each other's needs. And that's what the true problem is. Okay, because everything comes from our emotions. And being that women are more emotional on the outside than men are, you know what I'm saying? Not that men are less emotional than women are, because that's not true in a sense. What it is that men box everything that we do. We compartmentalize everything that we do. Women plug in and plug out everything that they do. So it seems like they're more emotional because they can plug it in, plug it, take it in, take it out. That's why when Alexander Graham Bell created the switchboard, it was women that were the operators because they mind think like a switchboard. So that was you. If they did men to do that, it would have went kaput because we compartmentalize everything. You know what I'm saying? But say, hold on, and you be on hold for 24 hours with a man. See, a woman say, hold on. That's how her mind works. Okay. So and what it is that so we're driven by the first 2. Now 3 of those where addiction come from. I mentioned that earlier. Is that 3 come from. There's 3 that they say if you have variety, connection, and certainty. All right. Addiction comes from the perception of doing, believing, and feeling. Okay, the perception of doing, believing, and feeling. So they take certainty, they take variety, and they take connection. Say you're driven with those 3 with addiction, and it's the perception of feeling, doing, and believing. Okay, I believe that this crack is going to help me. I'm certain of it. I feel that this crack is going to give me the variety that I need to go around and do the things that I do to make me superhuman. Okay, right. And I feel the connection to this crack, right? That I love it. That's the perception. That's where addiction comes from. That's why you cannot cure it. You must shift it. You have to take the negative addiction and create a new addiction. And it has to be the from the bad to the good. That's why they say it's 21 days to create a habit. What it in actuality is 90 days. It's 90 days because what it is that it takes 30 days for the habit to be broken. Okay, or shifted, because we could say broken, but to shift it. So it's 7 days to believe in it, 7 days to believe in it, it can be done, then it's the 21 days of you now doing breaking it or
What-
or
Don't
shifting.
give them all the Jews. Don't give them all. Don't give them all the Jews. Tell them where they can find you at. They gotta go to where they can find you at.
I love that. I love that. All right, so my daily show, the morning coffee with the motivated Jazzy G, it is what I call edutainment. I took that from KRS-One, edutainment, because I entertain you, but I educate you at the same time. So you can find me on Power Me Up Radio Talk 24/7, on iHeartRadio, or you can just go to my podcast at Apple Podcasts or Spotify, Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, and just type in Morning Coffee with the Motivated Jazzy G. There's a bunch of morning coffees, so make sure you put in Morning Coffee with the Motivated Jazzy G, and then you'll find my shows. And also, I do have a program curriculum that's actually February is going to. Matter of fact, I have a brand new program curriculum that's being put together for Black fathers. Okay, so I want to help Black fathers, especially the professional ones, because you professional Black fathers, y'all ask for the least help. Y'all ask for help the least because you figure I got this. Dun, 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 dun. So you can hit me up at gready125@gmail.com. That's my email, gready125@gmail.com. Just say, Coach, hey, I'm ready, or anything like that. And you can hit me up, and you can find me on all social medias, and it's God Jazzy Rainey on all social media. So that's GUYJAZZYRAINEY, and you can find me on all from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or I'm on them all.
Okay.
I'm on them all.
Okay. Where they can find you at, brother?
Right now, I'm in the process of bringing both brands together. So to find Better Green Entertainment, you can go to Better Green Entertainment, all one word now. Better spelled with 3 T's. Like Sanford and Son, the third T is for me. Okay? Better with 3 T's, Entertainment, all one word.com. And you'll find all the music up there listed. We have a lot of free music you can listen to, and then you have the download section. Don't be afraid. You got a lot of videos on YouTube. For my podcast, the name of it again is Behind Enemy Lines, where we talk about relationships from the male point of view, but we don't exclude the women. All right, and we play that, or we record every first and third Saturday between 5 to 7 p.m. And you can find me on iAccessRadio.com, www.iAccessRadio.com, where you can find that iAccess Radio on Facebook, iAccess Radio on YouTube, and you got to type in Behind Enemy Lines on social media, Gatekeeper718, and you can find me there.
Okay. That was a lot of information, a lot of jewels, you know what I'm saying? Mentoring, life coaching. I'm gonna say a quick story before I get out of here, right? So I got this. My man said the ghetto Cosby story, right? That's the Black Dot. Black Dot, what's up? I used to work for the YMCA for 8.5 years. And a lot of kids we seen go to college, did a lot of college chores. I was going to teach the other day. I got off the train, and the cop said, "Hey, you." So I know I didn't hop no train. You know what I'm saying? So I'll keep going. He called me again. So I turned around and it was one of my kids. Right? And he gave me a hug in the train station. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it looked kind of odd, a cop hugging you in the train station just looked weird. But I say that like mentoring do help, right? Real men do help. Like, and that's our role in this community. And that's what we need to do more of. So we'd like y'all to continue. This is Through Our Lens. Like, share, comment, leave some feedback. We want to have real topics that's out the box. We thinking outside the box. We don't have box thinking. And the truth is the new normal. Thank y'all. Have a blessed day. Thank you, Mr. Good.